Hi guys, welcome back to day 12 and 13 of my 30 Days of Thankfulness album. This may be the last video. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see some more days or if you just want to see a flip through. I know we're well into December and I actually have not started working on my December daily album, and that's something I do want to get working on this weekend. So I will be recording some videos for that. So if you'd rather just see that and no more of this and maybe just see a flip through of the rest of it, that's great. Just let me know. Otherwise, if you do want to see the process videos for, I think I have a couple more days that I actually recorded some process videos, I can do that as well. Just let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you or talk through what I did for these couple of days. So for this one, I did pull out my Lawn Fawn stamp. I really liked the hearts. That's a little heart with stitching around it, and I thought that would look really cute, and I was going to do it in the same rainbow colors as the stripes that I cut out. So basically the stripes were from a 4x6 card that had a little bit of a white space on the right hand side. This card came from Feed Your Craft, and I just cut it down to fit the size of my notebook. And so what I'm going to be doing is doing repetitive stamping on each of the pages in the places where the stripe paper is not going to be seen. And because I don't want a really dark color, I am going to stamp off once on a piece of paper and then stamp the page. And another thing I'm also doing, which I believe I've shown in a previous video, is that I'm going to be using that foam pad because I have some other pages behind it and I want to make sure that it stamps nice. And then I also showed you the ink pads that I used. If you have any questions about anything that I ever use, please leave a comment in the section below and then I can always get back to you. So now I'm just gluing everything down. I'm going to glue that striped paper, and I used a couple different stamps. Like I said, I used a stitch stamp, and then I also pulled out like a little tiny heart stamp, and it all came from that Lawn Fawn stamp set. This is a photo that of my daughter, a picture that my daughter drew. She is really into drawing and she's been doing a really good job and really practicing at it. So I wanted to make sure I included that in my book. There's not a whole lot of things that she seems to be passionate about. I mean, she is 10, so I guess that's fitting. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of things that she's passionate about besides looking at computer screens and playing video games. And it's nice that she really, really enjoys drawing and getting into that and practicing. So I wanted to make sure I capture that. I didn't really like the separation between the page and the stripe paper, so I took some of the wood grain washi that I have and I just added that as a border strip. It just kind of helped to, I don't know, like melt the two things together. That's probably not the best word, but that's kind of, just kind of made it more cohesive, I guess. So I'm taking a little label that was from the printable that came from Feed Your Craft. I'm just taking some green ink and I'm going to be stamping on a phrase to this. And again, this phrase is from the Feed Your Craft stamp set that came with the 30 Days of Thankfulness kit. And I'm just going to adhere that there on the left-hand side. It fit perfectly. And then I'm also going to use some of this chipboard. I really like this thin chipboard from Feed Your Craft. It's perfect for these little travelers notebook albums. And I don't remember if I said this earlier or I showed you, but oh my gosh, my traveler's notebook album is so fat. I mean, like, so fat. I don't know. I can't help myself from putting all this dimension on there, so it's really, really super, super chunky, but it's okay. It makes me happy looking at it. The notebook's probably not quite big enough. The outer cover that I made is probably not quite big enough for the level of chunk that my album is, but it's all good. It's only my album. I like it. I enjoy it. It just reminds me next time I need to probably be a little bit more large on my albums and not think so conservatively. So I'm just going to take some tissue paper. I wanted some separation between the photo and the background. So I just kind of folded up this tissue paper. I wanted kind of a grungy look. I think her photo, or not her photo, but her drawing is a bit of a grungy kind of girl. So I thought it would look kind of cool to have it a little bit more messy. So instead of cutting the edges, I am tearing them up a bit. And then I also did some separation between the picture and then the tissue by using that gold foiled paper. I really like that gold foiled paper. It really gives a nice accent. And if you use it as backgrounds, it's not like overwhelming as if you were using it as a full page, because that would be really overwhelming to me. So now I am just taking the paper that I cut out. I cut it up in a little flag shape to go on the background of that chipboard piece. And then I'm just kind of ruffling up some tissue paper, just really messily making it be a background to the paper. And then I'm going to glue that chipboard piece on top of that. One thing I notice about these Feed Your Craft chipboards, they're not very sticky, so you do usually have to add a little bit of glue to them in most cases, so just something to keep in mind if you get some of those chipboard pieces, which is no big deal. I don't mind doing that, and especially in these travelers notebooks I like to add a little bit more to make sure that everything stays down. So now I'm pretty much finishing up with this page. I'm just trying to glue all the little pieces down. I will be adding that flag there in the top right of the journaling card and then do my journaling there. And then once that is all done, I'm just going to glue everything down to the page, again using lots of adhesive to make sure that nothing falls out of the book because it is outside of a page protector. So that is almost done. I just need to, or I'm fussing around to see if I like any of these little tabs. These are also from the printable sheet. I don't believe I use any, but I do think I want to add something over here to the right. So I'm just going to pull out this little tiny heart punch and then glue that down to the flag. I don't know, I just feel like it brings a little bit more color down into the journaling card. And I am going to also put a little heart one over here that mimics the same pattern paper, and then it kind of ties the pages together even more. And then finally I'm going to be using my Stampin' Up! Ink pad to add the date for this day, which is the 12th. I think I'm going to show you a close-up here in just a second, and then I'm going to move on to day 13. Oh, nope, I lied. I'm going to put a couple enamel dots. Apparently it wasn't embellished enough. And this is the problem. This is where all my chunk comes from. I just keep adding things that add more and more layers, and it makes the notebook really hard to close. I think this one is the second notebook, and it is super chunky. I think it's the worst one that I have. But again, like I said, no big deal. I'll live with it. So I'm just going to fuss around with what enamel dots I need to put on this page. I'm making this probably way more complicated than it needs to be, but finally I decide on which colors. And now I'm moving on to day 13. Day 13, we had a beautiful snow fall. I was going to say storm, but that's not correct. It's just a snow fall. And I was actually able to get out of work a little early and then work from home so I didn't have to deal with any of the traffic. And it was really pretty outside. It wasn't extremely cold, but just cold enough for the snow to come down. It was so pretty outside. And it's kind of funny because we probably had more snow in the last, I don't know, couple of days or week, I guess this month, than I remember having in the last, I don't know how many winters. Snow came really early for us this year, and it's been snowing, I would say, gosh, I think at least once or twice a week in November, like later November, beginning November, all the way through December. It's just kind of crazy how much snow we've had. But I love it because it's kind of one of those snows where she had one snow day, but it's one of those snows where you can see it kind of lightly covers the grass, but doesn't really do a whole lot to like traffic or commutes and things like that. So it's absolutely perfect. It's beautiful. I love the snow. It makes me happy walking in the snow at work and all that. So it's fun. It's much better than rain. I'd rather have a little bit of light snow falling. But anyway, back to the layout. I am using the paper pad that has the wood grain textures that I've been using throughout the layout. And I'm just playing here. I really like the blue color. I thought it would look nice with the white and kind of grayish color of the picture. It almost looks like the picture is black and white, but it is a color picture. And so I'm just gluing that down, or I glued that background down, and I had some twine left over. I was going to do this kind of a technique where I wrap it and tie a bow on another photo, and I didn't like it. So I had it sitting around and I decided to use it, and I just tied it down, and it was a little long, so I just taped it with some washi. I have a little itty bitty tiny snowflake punch that I got from Michael's and like one of those dollar spots that they have, and I use it in my December daily a lot because I like the size of the little snowflake, and I thought this would be perfect for the traveler's notebook. And I love the contrast between the wood grain paper and the white cardstock that I punched the shapes out with. So I added that on to the layout here, and then I'm going to add some washi tape. I thought it looked a little plain. I want a little more texture to it, so I'm going to be taking this washi tape, tearing it, and then adding it in a couple places, and I just think that adds just what I was looking for on this right hand side. So pretty soon here I'll finish this one up, and then I'm going to kind of do some mimicking of the colors and the papers on the left hand side now. So I have this offcut excuse me, this offcut of the blue paper and wood grain. I'm going to add that here to the left hand side. I don't have a full piece, but that's okay. I didn't really want that paper going all the way across the entire thing, like full sheets, and I kind of like how this looks where it's just a little bit but not too much, and it kind of breaks up the page a bit. This is probably one of my favorite pages of all in the notebook. I really like the wood grain. Wood grain is probably one of my favorite papers. I just absolutely love it, and I love the blue with the wood grain. So I would probably have to say I vote this page as one of my favorites that I've done in this notebook. So this is one of those handmade embellishments, the one that says love, that I made in my embellishment video. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. It is in the 30 Days of Thankfulness playlist, so you can pull that and look at that. I made a whole bunch of little embellishments to make this project much faster. And then I'm just punching out some more of those white snowflakes and then sprinkle those around the page. I glued all those down already, and now I am adding the date. So that pretty much wraps it up. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. If you liked the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.